One little last thing I want to talk about here. Time to get into something a little bit more fun and goofy. Starfield. Have you guys heard of this game? I have not. I have not played it. It's by Bethesda. Still haven't played it. It looks actually kind of awesome. Looks like some kind of like Star Trek-y sort of MMO kind of thing where you can go to like thousands of planets, that kind of thing. And like, you know, each planet is different or whatever. Although some people are saying no, every time you land there's like the same fucking landing base or whatever, I don't know. It looks kind of awesome, I gotta say. I don't even think my system could handle it, but I don't know, maybe it'll come out on PS5 or something. Looks cool. There is a viral video of a grown man losing his mind and shitting his diaper like a little baby over the fact that the developers dared to allow you to choose your preferred pronouns in this video game. Let's go ahead and turn this on. This guy's name is Heel versus Babyface. And this has kind of made the rounds on the internets here, on the inner tubes. Let's go ahead and make this a little smaller so that way I'm not getting my channel struck. Although somehow I doubt this guy would like file a complaint here. I think this dude is reveling in the fact that everybody's paying attention to him. Right. Doesn't look like his particular video here has gotten very more views though. Looks more like everybody's going out and reading and seeing the comments on his stream. But this is the dude here, this sort of bald-headed looking guy right here in the corner. And he has made this very, very popular viral rant on Starfield. The guy, for the most part, looks like your standard sort of gamer-gatey kind of anti-SJW guy. You know, like maybe he's ripping off, what's his name? What's that guy? His name Jeremy. Who's the asshole that made like 700,000 like anti-Captain Marvel videos? Right? The quartering. Yeah, he looks like kind of like a British quartering ripoff, kind of sort of. Like with less like charisma. And kind of wanted to show a little bit of this because it's funny. Everybody just shows the same like little section though. Here's one little thing I noticed a few minutes before he gets into the rant proper. Starting on his video, this is Starfield Early Access Part 2 at 1 hour and 35 minutes in. And I noticed that he had something to say about Dylan Mulvaney here.
If you two hadn't been here.
I don't know, what are your pronouns?
Glad you could rise to the occasion.
Are you a woman?
Captain, we should report back to the President. Let her know the terramorphs have been dealt with. Take care of yourself, Sergeant.
Hey, Sergeant. I'm just saying, if you ask her out on a date, you might be in for a surprise. A Dylan Mulvaney kind of stuff. Okay, let's move on.
Now, jokes aside, it's like, okay, you can joke about anything you want. But why would you say that specifically? What does Starfield have to do with Dylan Mulvaney at all? Nothing. Dylan Mulvaney, of course, is the influencer, the trans woman influencer who is getting a shitload of hate from conservatives because she has a very short deal with Bud Light beer, where all they did was give her a can of beer and she opened it like in an Instagram video and drank a beer, and that was enough to make all of the conservatives whine and cry like little babies. I don't understand what Dylan Mulvaney has to do with this at all. Nothing. And that just kind of shows like that's where this guy is at. It's sort of like a cottage industry out there of these sort of wannabe quartering bearing kind of ripoffs who don't actually have any real commentary worth a hoot, and they're just spreading bigotry. I want to show you guys something else here before we get into the actual rant. Here's a link that I got here from Niche Gamer, one of a million video game blogs out there that nobody ever really reads. Does anybody ever go to these fucking things anymore? Sort of a Kotaku ripoff kind of thing. Social media users downplay Starfield pronoun propaganda. Okay. Pronoun propaganda. Now, I want you to notice here what they actually say in the article and what they don't say, alright? The greatly anticipated sci-fi RPG Starfield lets the player to select their pronouns. That's a little worded a little strange. Lets the player to select their pronouns. I think the word to should not belong in that sentence, but I don't know. I am not a grammar expert. And the usual suspects on Twitter and elsewhere have been downplaying this edition. While every previous Bethesda role-playing game never included a pronouns option in the character creator, online users are saying pronouns in Starfield are not a big deal. Starfield, much like other modern games, was found to have caved to the usual pronoun propaganda, as the character creation screen allows players to select their pronouns. You know, this kind of sounds like an AI wrote it. Here's the screen here. Name, he, him, player, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Why is that a bad thing? See, you'll notice that what they're saying, they're not saying why it's bad. They're not saying why it's bad. They're saying it's propaganda. They're not saying how it's propaganda, why it's propaganda. And you notice the type of language they use. Found to have caved. Found to have caved. Makes it sound like there's somebody putting pressure on them to force them to do this. When you say that, it makes it sound like that there's mobs and like huge crowds of blue-haired social justice warriors protesting 24/7 outside of the offices of Bethesda, throwing bricks and shit through windows, harassing people in their cars, beating the shit out of them when they go out to lunch and stuff, saying, "You will put pronouns in the game." That's what it makes it sound like. And so they caved to the pressure. Instead of just being inclusive, they have to cave to the pressure. They were forced to. They caved to the propaganda, the pronoun propaganda, right? A Reddit thread noted that despite there being pronoun selection prominently shown in the character creator, NPCs still don't refer to the player by their pronouns. Instead, they tend to use traditional gendered language like when talking to men or women. So, what's the problem then? I mean, if you guys don't like it when people are polite and use your preferred gender pronouns, then why would you care if in the game the game doesn't actually do it? I mean, you would think that they would be happy. I don't understand. Other games, such as remasters of the Dark Souls games, Animal Crossing, and Elden Ring, even more examples in this article, abolished gender selection entirely. Good. Based. Instead of allowing players to pick a male or female gender, the games forced players to choose a body type in an attempt to be inclusive, quote-unquote inclusive. Starfield does this as well. Based. Awesome. Why is that bad? So you'll notice they're not saying why it's bad. Even worse, some games like Harvestella and Harvest Moon allows for a non-binary gender options with fabrications meant to corrupt and politicize. This is the first time in the entire article that they've ever gave an explanation as to why they think it's bad. Which are fabrications meant to corrupt and politicize? Corrupt what? Why is being a non-binary gender corrupting? What is it corrupting? What does it corrupt exactly? If I decide that I'm not binary tomorrow, how am I corrupted? What the fuck are they talking about? Inclusion of body types and pronoun selection as opposed to merely selecting between the two biological genders is another form of propaganda being inserted into modern games. Just listen to the language that these people are saying, right? There has to be an agenda in order for there to be propaganda. You have to actually have a cause. What is the cause of allowing people to choose their personal pronouns? Equality. That's what the cause is. LGBTQ rights are equal rights. And they are rights because LGBTQ rights are at their core a First Amendment right. That's what it is. Human right, the LGBTQ rights are an extension of the First Amendment. When it comes to this, not all of them, but when it comes to your personal pronouns, that's an extension of the First Amendment. If your pronouns are speech, which is what they are, and you want to express yourself with your personal pronouns, then nobody should be allowed to tell you that you're not allowed to do that. Bethesda is exercising their First Amendment rights when they put this in the game. That's what it is. Okay? They have a right to say whatever the fuck they want to say in their game. The government is not allowed to say it. Now, you have a right to object to that if you want. The way you object to it is that you don't play the game. Because that's what an actual adult does. Instead of going on and making a huge ass fucking rant or getting an AI to write a shitty article about it, you could just not buy the goddamn game. Let's read a little bit more of this bullshit. Companies that push this new feature are trying to mentally suggest that things besides men and women exist, which is indubitably false. Except in real life, there are such things as intersex people. That is definitely a thing. If you're trying to go with biological genders, there are intersex people who are born with both sets of genitals. Or there are intersex people who are born with penises and then also develop breasts. There's all kinds of mixtures in and in between, because biology isn't an exact process. That is a thing that exists. So when this person says indubitably false, that's bullshit. And yes, it is different, someone who is biologically born intersex than someone who wants to change their gender later. But I don't see why it matters. Somebody should be able to choose how they want to represent themselves. Because once again, LGBTQ rights are essentially extensions of the First Amendment. It is your choice to present yourself however you want to present yourself. The way you choose your gender, the way you express your gender, the clothes that you wear, the way you wear your hair, things that you do to your body, put in your body, or how you alter your body. These are all extensions of the First Amendment. Which means if you don't like it, then you should just bend over and they can kiss your fucking ass, is what it is. They can pucker up and take a big old smooch on your ass cheeks if they don't like it. Because fuck you, it's my right. So fuck these people. It also attempts to validate the concept that a man and woman can identify with the opposite gender pronouns, which is also a biological falsity, which is bullshit. Some of the disparate injustice also while some despaired at this injustice to attack helicopters, others were naturally critical of this propaganda. See, hear this shit, the attack helicopter thing is like it's the one joke these morons have. I identify as an attack helicopter. It's like the one fucking joke these morons have. And that's another thing to remember, is that conservatives and TERFs and all of these fucking misogynists and like bigots, not only are they stupid, they also lack in creativity. To the extent where like they just repeat the same dumb fucking shit over and over and over again. How old is the attack helicopter meme? How old is that? Like what? A decade at this point? You motherfuckers haven't come up with another joke yet? Like just repeating the same tired bullshit. It wasn't funny in 2011, and it's not funny now. It didn't make any sense then. It wasn't poignant then. It's not poignant now. It's like they're too fucking stupid to realize how fucking stupid they are, or how stupid all this shit sounds. Anyway, so you can kind of see that this is creating a little bit of a kerfluffle out there. I'll leave this link down in the thing if you want to read more. Basically, it's just more bullshit where all they do is listen to one stupid fucking tweet after another. It's all bullshit. Let's cut ahead to the actual rant here. The rant is at 143, roughly right around here. Fair use, motherfuckers. Moving on.
Sorry, what did you say? I wasn't listening. You're whammon.
Very funny, by the way. Do people actually watch this shit? You know, as a little side note, I've gotten a few requests from people saying that, hey, you should like stream video games, because I have, for those of you out there who don't know, I have an immensely gigantic video game collection, mainly classic stuff, a lot of 16-bit stuff, a lot of 32-bit stuff, PlayStation, Super Nintendo, you know, that kind of thing, NES kind of stuff, even going back to, I have like a lot of sort of pre-Famicom Japanese game systems that were never released in the United States. Things like cassette vision and shit like that, you know. And I've had a couple of friends and people on the channel say that, hey, you ought to like stream video games, you know. And it's like, do people actually watch this shit? Like, I started to do it and I got like, you know, barely any viewers, and it was like, is it really a thing? Like, if I actually were to like stream gameplay, like, don't you have to be entertaining? Do people actually care about the game, or do they want to like watch you say funny shit? Because like, it kind of seems to me that people only watch assholes like this guy, in order to like validate their politics. That's what it seems like to me. And this is kind of an aside here. We'll get back to it in a minute. But it really does seem like to me that they're only watching this dude because it's like another anti-SJW dude in a sea of anti-SJW dudes, and they want to feel validated about how they hate women because they can't get laid. Is that true? I mean, I don't know. Is there really value in just playing, watching another person play another fucking video game? Like there's so many of those fucking people out there. That's why I do artwork. You know, I mean, nobody watches these streams that much either, but I do have a little bit of a following on YouTube, not very big. Not so much here on Twitch, but I don't know, maybe that'll change one day. But still, it's just sort of like, seems so fucking boring. Like, that's the thing. Like, I watched a good half hour of this stream, and it's not even funny. Like, it'd be fine if the jokes he was saying were funny, but they're not funny. They're just like stuff like that Dylan Mulvaney joke. It's like, that I'm supposed to chuckle at that? Like, what? It doesn't make any. It's just not. Do people actually think this shit's funny? Do I just really not have like my finger on the pulse of like the kids today on the fucking inner tubes? Is that what's going on? Am I just like too old? And like the way that if I want to be successful, I should just turn into like some kind of ridiculous Christo-fascist chud and start saying a bunch of like, you know, gay jokes or whatever. I don't know. If that's the case, then maybe streaming isn't for me. But let's get to the main event here.
Let's pretend that I don't have this. No, I don't care. No, I'm going to play along.
Someone paid attention in current events.
No, I just don't care.
So, then you also know that it was originally managed by the 3 major galactic players.
Access to the archives is only granted in cases of dire emergency and requires a one-time use code from each of the 3 armistice signatories.
Hey, do you know what I love? Hey, Bethesda.
Collective.
Oi, Cal, shut your fucking cake hole. Hey, Bethesda, I just want to say something to you. Bethesda, I just want to say something to you, Bethesda. Just want to say a little something. There is nothing I love more. Taking my headphones off. Fuck that. Bethesda, there is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG, lose myself, think, oh my god, just think of this world, just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And you know, I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can fucking current day us. Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns!
Why exactly would pronouns take you out of your immersive world? That's the first thing here. See, because that's the thing you got to remember, right? You're looking at this guy Rant, and what he's trying to make it sound like it's an excuse. You're taking us out of my immersive world. I just want to enjoy myself, and I can't enjoy myself now because I'm being reminded of politics. It kind of doesn't really work. If you watch the rest of the stream, that's why I wanted to show the Dylan Mulvaney joke there. Because if you look, The game is not what's bringing any of this shit up. It's him. That part right there, go back, rewind, and watch the Dylan Mulvaney joke again. That this guy pathetically fucking spewed out because he has, like, no fucking comedic timing, like, at all. He's just not funny, this guy. Go watch that part again. That little section of the game had nothing to do with gender. It had nothing to do with pronouns. The person that was talking wasn't gay. Nothing like that at all. None of them. You know what? This looks like shit. We're just going to make this whole thing white and add the shading afterwards. I was trying to make it all like painterly looking, but fuck it. You know, none of that at all is a thing in this game. He's the one that brought it up. He's the one that said, "Oh, is she a trans woman or whatever? Oh, you better not ask her out. You might be getting something a little," you know what I mean? Like, he's the one that brought all that shit up. So, who's the person who's really at fault for not being able to immerse themselves in the universe? Like the article said, characters in the game don't obey the pronoun you choose. So how does it break immersion if you choose it and the game doesn't even follow the choice that you make? Where's the part where it breaks the immersion? It doesn't. It doesn't break the immersion. This guy's using it as an excuse. He's either, like, too much of a goddamn baby to accept the fact that other people besides him like to play video games. That gay people, that trans people like to play video games. And that video game companies are going to cater to them because they have money, that's what's really going on here. He's too much of a goddamn child to accept that fact. So he's framing it in such a way that it's like a personal affront to him specifically. I can't enjoy it because these other people are allowed to enjoy it. And the game is not shoving anything in his face. The game is not throwing it down his throat or whatever the fuck they like to say. The game's not doing that at all. He's the one bringing it up. Keep that in mind.
Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit! Because that's all we fucking know! Because we're boring! We're so fucking boring!
How is that boring? I don't see... If you watch this guy's stream, he's fucking boring. He's the one that's fucking boring. He's the one that's, like, putting out, like, really stupid fucking jokes that just don't land for no reason, that have nothing to do with what's going on the screen at any given time. It's like, if you're going to talk about the game, then talk about what's happening on the screen. Make social comments about what's actually going on the screen, not, like, shit that has nothing to do with anything that's actually happening at the moment. Once again, let's refer back to that Dylan Mulvaney joke. It just came out of nowhere. He just said it out of nowhere. It had nothing to do with anything that was actually happening. He just threw it out there because he needed an anti-SJW joke. And so he just fucking said, "Oh, here's a good spot. Here's a woman that I can make fun of in the game," or whatever. It's like these guys. Maybe this is why I don't do this kind of thing specifically. It's so fucking formulaic. I mean, you think this guy's even really angry? I don't think so. I think this is an act, if you ask me. I think he's trying to get into that. He's trying to get that quartering dollars, is what he's trying to do. He's trying to move in on people like the Quartering and Geeks and Gamers and all those other fools. Trying to just basically capitalize on that late 2013 Gamergate energy, which is diminishing ever so slightly every single year as people grow up and outgrow this shit. All the people who were teenagers, by the way, in 2013, they're now in their they're now in their 20s. Most of them are probably in their late 20s by this point. And they're at that prime age where they start buying shit. And that's why there's a little bit of a resurgence on this stuff. That's why they're trying to monetize it, by the way. That's why all these channels are still hanging on. But you notice that they're not growing in so much. It's like they already grew as much as they can grow. And now they're just sort of like relying on stunts and shit in order to stay relevant. Because the younger kids today aren't buying this stuff. The younger kids today are the Gen, what do you call them? What do you call the people after Gen Z? I don't know. Whatever the fuck they're called. Gen Alpha or whatever the fuck they're called. Those kids are very much more inclusive and very much more accepting of gay rights and trans rights and all that other stuff. And these assholes are starting to like see their numbers drop. It's diminishing returns, and they know it is. And so in order to keep themselves relevant, they have to make up bullshit like, oh, it's gender propaganda in fucking video games and crap like that. Kind of pathetic, don't you think?
We can't see past our own fucking reflection. That's the level of our narcissism here at Bethesda Western Game Company. Fuck your immersion. Fuck you having a good time. Fuck you falling into a world and just getting lost. No, no, no. Current fucking day.
Now, that little part I wanted to comment on, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Narcissism. How is it narcissistic, exactly, to allow people to choose their own pronouns? How is it? See, if it was a game like The Legend of Zelda, where you play a set character, or let's say God of War, something like that, if you're not into Nintendo, or whatever kind of fucking game out there, if it was like a action RPG kind of game, where you're playing a specific character, who is a specific gender, and there's no character creation involved in that, then if they allowed you to change the pronouns there, if they allowed you to say, okay, Link, well, you can choose whether Link it goes by he or her or something, or Zer or something like that, then yeah, maybe I might agree, okay, that is breaking the immersion. Right. Let's say another example, Metroid. Metroid is a famous example with a female protagonist. Let's say Nintendo made a game where you were allowed to change the pronouns for Metroid and refer to Samus Aran as he instead of she. I could agree that that would be breaking the immersion. Like, okay, why? Why would that be breaking the immersion? Because you're supposed to be taking the role of a specific character, and that character happens to be female. And if it's Link, it happens to be male. And if it's Mario, it happens to be male. Right. Whatever. So yeah, maybe, but in this game is not like that. This game is a game where you create your own character. There is no set protagonist. The whole point of a character creation in a game like this is so that you can insert yourself into the game. That's the entire point of this. That's the entire reason why you see these character creation things. And people like it. People like character creation stuff, and that's why you see them in more and more games. In fact, it used to be a thing. I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but it used to be that they would require it. Like, there was a thing in if I remember, it was Sony. They tried to push a thing where all games had to have some kind of character creation thing. I don't think they do it anymore. But it's been a while since I've actually worked in the gaming industry. But I know that was one of their standards, right? Game must have some kind of character creation thing, you know. Probably not so much anymore. I don't know. I haven't worked in the gaming industry in like fucking 15 years, so. But anyway, so that's the whole point, is to make it a self-insert for the player. So to not allow the player to choose their preferred pronouns would actually break immersion. Because if you're a trans person, but you're transitioning, so you choose the body type that you currently have, but you choose the pronouns that you want to go by, if the game doesn't allow that, then guess what? That's what breaks the fucking immersion. So it's the exact opposite of what this asshole thinks. This guy's entire argument boils down to other people are enjoying something and I don't like it. That's the entire thing. And that's like every single fucking thing that these anti-SJW assholes have. Whenever they talk about video games, whenever they talk about when the Quartering makes like his 10 billionth fucking anti Captain Marvel video or whatever, and complains about Dungeons and Dragons or some shit, or whatever the fuck he's gonna complain about, right? Whenever these assholes do something like that, that's all it comes down to. Other people can enjoy this game, and I hate those other people. I want games that only cater to my politics. I want games that only allow me to enjoy them, and fuck these other people because I don't like them. That's the whole point. It's like the most crybaby shit ever. This guy should change his name from Babyface Heel to fucking Crybabyface, because that's what he's doing, crying like a goddamn baby. I think there's not. Let's watch it. Right, there's not that much more here. Let's watch some more.
Fuck off! You're boring! You're fucking dull! You have nothing to say! You are a one-hived mind twat waffle! That's all you fucking are! And you wonder why people are getting so fucking sick and tired! You take everything we love, all our emotions, all our fantasies, all our escapism, and you just can't help shovel your dog shit, fucking crap ideology into everything! Every single solitary fucking thing!
That's very telling. Remember, folks, he's mad because it's quote-unquote ideology, but he would be perfectly fine if it was his ideology. Perfectly fine if it was his ideology. What he's angry at is not the fact that there's ideology in the game, which is not, it's not even really ideology, really, to allow someone to choose their pronouns. How the fuck is that ideology? If it was forced, it would be ideology. If you chose a male body type and they forced you to take a female pronoun, that would be forcing your ideology on somebody. That would be actual ideology. It's optional. That's the thing. You don't have to choose your pronouns at all in the game. You can leave them the way they are. You can have them be the default. If you choose the male body type, it defaults to the male pronoun. If you choose the female one, it defaults to the female pronoun. You can leave it like that. There's no reason why you have to change it. You don't have to change shit. So how the fuck are they forcing you to do it if it's optional? Where does the forcing, where does that, it's optional for fuck's sake. You don't have to. So how does that amount to forcing your will on somebody? How does that amount to shoving it down your throat? It doesn't. It's just another thing for this crybaby to fucking complain about. And then when they say, oh, you're boring. Like, what? So being racist and being a bigot and being sexist and all that shit, that's, like, exciting? Does that make something good? If I made a game that was about, like, let's say I made a game about, like, I don't know, white supremacists running around beating people up, lighting crosses on fire. Like, let's say it was like San Andreas or whatever, GTA, except you had to drive around. You had to, like, light crosses on fire on people's lawns and shit, and you got points for that. Like, I mean, is that, like, what is exciting to you? Is that what it is? If I made a game where we, like, beat up lesbians, would that be exciting? If I made a game, like, let's call it Proud Boy Simulator 5000, where you go out and you go to drag queen story hours and beat people up and shit. Is that the kind of thing that you think is exciting? Is that what you want? Like, I don't understand this. Like, so what does that criticism even come from? Right? Are you saying the game itself is boring? Well, then that's different. So if the game just didn't have the option to choose your fucking gender pronouns, then it wouldn't be boring? Like, is that what you're trying to say? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because it's bullshit. Because the guy doesn't actually have any coherent thought about anything. Because right-wingers and conservatives and fascists and fucking Christo-fascists and all these people are the most boring people on earth. They're the stupidest, most boring, uncreative morons on earth. They are. This is why conservatives are not funny. So, like, if you ever watch Dennis Miller, he's not funny. Not funny at all. Steven Crowder, not funny. Every once in a while, you'll get something like, if you watch like what the fuck is that wormy little Ben Shapiro, the wormy little fucking dude. You'll watch that guy, he'll try to crack a joke every once in a while, and just every time he tries to be funny, it's the most pathetic thing ever. Because these people don't have any talent. It takes talent to be funny. It takes intelligence to be insightful. To actually say something that's poignant and matters. Right? It takes charisma to tell a joke and not fall flat on your fucking face in embarrassment. These people don't have that shit. I'm not trying to say I have it. I'm not a fucking comedian. I'm just a guy on the internet. That's all I am. But it's like these, I mean, but I'm not the one out there trying to like entertain people, cracking jokes and shit like that. I'm not the one out there trying to make racism and bigotry and misogyny entertaining, like this asshole is. Moving on. Anything else to say there, buddy? No? Right back to the game, huh? Anything else to say?
I had a message open on Twitter while I was saying that, and I actually hit the record button on my microphone. So it kind of recorded everything that I just screamed then to this person in Twitter DM, so I better delete that.
See, that's what what that little section right there, that's the whole rest of this guy's stream. Is where he just says boring ass shit. Who's the one who's really fucking boring here? You notice that nobody else is talking about, like, this video is like one of like 5. Like, here, let's reduce this here, right? And let's go to his channel. Heel versus Baby.
I killed Starfield!
Shut up. Right. And then if you go to his videos here, he's got like 5 videos where he talks about Starfield. It's like, where is it? It's under live. Okay. Early access, part 5. There's 5 of those. You notice the only one that he's talking about, anybody is talking about, is the one where he rants like a fucking child. Because this shit is boring. He's the one that's fucking boring, right? And yeah, I mean, I'm not, and here's the thing, like, my channel isn't any better. I don't have anywhere close to the amount of subs or, reach that this guy has. So I'm not trying to say I'm not boring and he is, but what I am saying, though, is that the anti-SJW, like, industry that people like this guy or the Quartering have or Bearing or a bunch of other people is creatively defunct. Creatively defunct. I think that's the best way to put it. When all you do is complain to people about other people that you hate, it only goes so far. You're only going to get so far with that. There's only so many channels you can go through talking about, oh, this movie sucks because of pronouns. Oh, this other movie sucks because they took all the Ghostbusters and made them women. Oh, this one sucks because it actually has a woman in it and she said something that one time in a press release that could be interpreted anti-white if you're an asshole. And in real life it wasn't. Or whatever. There's only so many ways that you can sugarcoat racism and misogyny and bigotry and homophobia. There's only so many ways that you can disguise that shit before people just aren't going to buy it anymore. And that's what it is. And it's like, I'm not saying that nobody watches this shit, because people do watch this shit. And that's what's scary. People do watch this crap. Like we just saw, that guy has 350,000 subs. Yes, there is an audience out there for it. 350,000 morons watching a moron complain about moronic crap that has nothing to do with anything. Because that should tell you. That should tell you the state of gaming out there. If 350,000 people will watch that idiot and think that this guy has something poignant to say, right? To think that what he's saying is relevant and spot on, and he's speaking for us. I don't know. Maybe I am in the wrong business. Maybe I ought to like do a heel face turn myself and start making conservative content. I bet you I'd clean up if I did that. If I like had zero integrity and just like did a 100% turn, I bet you I'd be making fucking 6 figures. Like within like a year. Pathetic, folks. Absolutely fucking pathetic.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.